Hey everybody, Goosebumps or Dummies here, back at it again with another video, and today we are going to be reviewing House of Shivers Book 5, The Last Sleepover. It is dropped today. I already read it, got in the mail a few hours ago, and I've got to say, this is the most casual feeling House of Shivers book thus far. The previous four have been a little more chaotic, with the exception of Goblin Monday feeling kind of more casual. This one's not wild very much at all, but it has a lot of unique things to be offered here, and so far the general reception of people who've gotten to read this one early or today has been pretty positive. Let's just say I'm not wholly agreeing, but I do have some nice things to say. And if anyone's wondering what book this is similar to, because people have been establishing this trend with House Shivers, kind of taking inspo from previous Goosebumps books, such as Terry's Book Ever, Legend of the Lost Legend, Goblin Monday of Judy and the Beast, or Jekyll and Heidi. Well, I prefer Judy and the Beast because that one's more similar to that one in particular, and so on. This one is similar to Escape from Horror House. I read this not even like 2 weeks ago, just barely maybe, and it's a pretty good one. I'd argue it's better than Last Sleepover, but no less, this is easily the most similar to that book, apart from It's Alive with the technology element. So yeah, now for the blurb. And now for the blurb. Smart home, total nightmare. Lily and her brother Roy have just moved into a new house after their family spent months renovating it. The formerly run-down, creepy old house is now totally transformed into a tech lover's dream. Roy has installed a smart device that can turn on lights, lock doors, and even open the windows, among other things. Lily really loves showing off what the house can do, but someone doesn't love the changes. The ghost of the girl who died in the house. She's angry and ready for revenge. The girl being Annalie. This is a very straightforward one. It's a ghost story that has some technology tie-ins. And I've got to say, it was kind of okay feeling. A lot of people have been coming on saying, this is a great one, what a return. And it might be because we just came off of one of the worst Goosebumps books, period. Say my name, utterly awful. Most people have agreed on that. Me too, I absolutely fucking hate it. Worst book ever. Straight up from Goosebumps, but this isn't a huge comeback. I mean, just in general, it's an okay book, but definitely compared to it. There's some solid bits in here that I quite liked, mostly scare scenes and scenes that are supposed to be, unnerving, such as the window sequence early on with Megan getting her head almost chopped off. I mean, that wasn't going to happen, but pretty bad bruising, I'd say. And the actual first encounter between Lily and Annalie, that was a very good sequence. There's some great moments all around, or arguably just pretty darn good for what they are. Nothing spectacular, but overall some notable bits in here that I quite liked. There's also some decent pacing. I felt like the book was entirely going straight forward, no slower parts, even if there are some filler bits. Trust me. There's filler in this book. About 40 fucking pages of it. I'm not even kidding. But no less, yeah, this book was an even ride all around. And there's some great ideas in here stemming from characters such as Annalie and Morgan Strange, which I've got to bring it up now. Morgan Strange himself is an upside, as well as Annalie and what she brings to the table. Morgan Strange is a cool character. And I think, I'm headcanoning here, and I don't like headcanoning. I think headcanoning is stupid and perverted, especially if it's in a fan fiction sense, but here it is. I think Morgan Strange could be a callback to the Stranges in Return to Horrorland, especially in their awkward, strange personality, and just generally just because they both delve into a similar business, kind of. But Morgan Strange is definitely the better character, obviously, because he's not evil. Read the book. But yeah, the Stranges in here are called Derek and Margot Strange, and then we have Morgan Strange in this book, Last Sleepover. So maybe they're connected, but I think it's definitely a callback, if anything. But no less, Morgan Strange. He's cool, he's funny, he's quirky, and he's afraid of mice. We'll get to that later, but I like him. I think he's really cool for what he is. His 20 pages of being in this story. But no less, he's cool. We bring some ideas to the table like this chameleon ghost. There's a chapter that says it directly. There's a ghost that acts like a chameleon, and that's a cool idea where it can turn into its surroundings or blend in. It turns into Rory, one of our characters from here, or it turns into Mr. Strange himself. It's cool. I like that a lot. And that it was going to be actually used to take down Annalie to help. But it just went nowhere. We'll get to that in a bit again, but still really good for what he is, as well as Annalie, who has some solid backstory, as well as monologues throughout the book. She apparently writes letters in her head to her parents, which I don't know why that was in there. It's never happened again. But, it's an interesting thing, and it allowed for an interesting setup to a scene where we don't see what happens, but she tells us, oh yeah, I pranked these guys by lighting the stove on fire. And it's cool, because it was set up in the previous chapter if something was happening in the kitchen. I like that. Little detail. But overall, Anna Lee in this book, she has some great moments. She has some great dialogue and monologues and backstory again. And I liked her inclusion as the villain, especially when it comes to the twist. Now, I will say this. I have my gripes with the ending. We'll get to that again later, in a minute, actually. I like the idea behind it. Anna Lee needs a hug. I know, it's freaking ridiculous, but I think it just works because it genuinely does make sense. I mean, it's Goosebumps. Goosebumps is silly, and sometimes I'll be like, fine, let's embrace the silly. And I'm fine with this. This didn't bother me much. What did bother me was how it went about it. And even with my issues about the book all round, and the back half even, which has the most but less overbearing issues, I'd still say the back half, or rather the final third of this book, is truly where this book shines, if anything. But I do have some big gripes, as I've hinted about. A lot of this book felt like not a lot was really going on. Now, stuff happens, we're getting all of these Anna Lee scares and all this build up to the last sleepover and the climax, where we have a sleepover, Anna Lee shows up. And whilst there's some good stuff, I'll say this, the first 2 thirds of the story, so I'd say roughly about the first 100 pages, well, stuff starts picking up around page 90. Everything up until that point, basically, was just a lot of either filler, because there's a whole scene of Rory, and I mean a whole 20 frickin' pages of Rory having a ghost hunting sequence that did utterly nothing. It was a waste of time. It didn't even need to be here. And just generally bland exposition. Not that movies can, and books can't, have bland exposition that just sets up stuff coming, but nothing really made up for it, I feel. A lot of the other stuff was kind of underwhelming. And I want to say this before I even get into why. It's not because of the hype. There's been a lot of people saying this book's really good. I don't agree. I think it's just okay. For what it is. A very, maybe high-ish okay, but genuinely just an okay. Just because of what was being built up in here. And that is the actual plot. Not a lot was done with it. All the scares that, I don't know the word, came from the technology were very basic. Doors were locking. Lights went out. They couldn't open the windows. Music blared, which was done in actually the new Goosebumps show of the haunted car. Which is, I like that, but nothing else really. Nothing very creative, I feel. This book lacked a lot of that when it actually came to utilizing our actual basis of the book. Technology run by a ghost going awry to get these people out of the house and to scare them shitless. It wasn't very good. It was kind of expected and uninspired again. And there's also Morgan Strange. Now, I already said I really like his character. For what we got of him, I'm like, this guy had a lot of potential. And I mean he had a lot of potential. Because he didn't do a lot. He was in there for 20 pages, and then it was really scared of mice after a mice shows up in the basement, where he's trying to get Anna Lee to come into his box. And yeah, he just kind of exit the story, and as well as his ghost friend, and generally anything that was built up with him was both utterly useless and extremely disappointing when it didn't come into play ever again. Not even the black box. Nothing. Why, Stine? Why'd you include him if you were just going to cop us out or cock block us in general? It's just rude, man. I'm disappointed with his inclusion in general because it built up to nothing. And again, added 20 pages of good filler, but no less filler. Didn't need to be here. We could have had 100 and barely 10-page story, because I'd say a good 40-45 pages of this story are not really anything that needed to be here. And just to add the final kicker here, I don't deduct 0.5 even for this, but it adds up with everything else. The ending. Now, I like what we're going for here with the resolution idea of Anna Lee, my girl, needing a hug. I get it, She was alone for 10 years in this house, just ticking away with the sands of time. It's depressing. It really is. And I was expecting this resolution. It's just like, come on, you could have done it better. It feels very awkward, which I guess it would be, but very forced. Yeah, extremely forced. And there was even literal hints that this character, our main character, really likes to hug. She's a huge hugger. In the first page of her appearance in the book, too, that's literally a huge thing expressed. Multiple times, even. It's like, this just could have been done better. We had all the elements there for a nice, warm wrap-up, and it just didn't land. As well as the very dumb inclusion of the final page, where it's like, I guess the ghost, Anna Lee, is now a secret to just these 4 girls? What? What the fuck? He already knows she exists. Just say, oh yeah, Anna Lee's chill now. Why are you hiding it from Rory? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they did it, but it's a piss-off ending. But overall, I still like this book, even if it's huge issues, just because I did enjoy my time with it overall when it had a lot of things that I genuinely enjoyed. Just had some glaring issues. I give this one a 7 out of 10. Last Sleepover, 7 out of 10. This was not the score I was wanting to give it, but it's the truth. It's just okay to a light, extremely light, pretty good. Yeah, so Last Sleepover. I recommend it just solely because it's a new book, and because there's some things in here that were cool, and a lot of people have actually come out and said, again, that this is a really good one. I don't agree. I think they're, like, in the crack then right now, but no less. Last Sleepover is a genuinely okay read. And yeah, tell me what you think about The Last Sleepover down below. I patiently await Camp Bigfoot. See you guys in the next one. Bye.